Okay, now I'm kind of doing a historical outlook because there's actually some new ways in Pro Tools in the last couple years or last couple releases to organize tracks and control them. So, can I get rid of that ugly? No, this thing's just all of a sudden I got this dark line. Don't like it. Um, let's talk about the drums. Okay, so for the drums, I might want to have control over the overall volume, but I'd also maybe like to do some overall processing. So in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and create, and notice that I'm always making these things to the right of the group or the instrument group that I'm wanting to deal with. And for this, I'm going to make a stereo aux input track. And I'm going to go ahead and call it drum sub. This is essentially creating what's called a submix. And I could certainly color it red. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of my drum tracks. I'm holding down Option Shift so I can make a change to all of them at the same time. And I'm going to come out to the I/O, the output, where it says built-in or whatever yours might say. It's not input, it's output. And I'm going to change the output to a bus. And then since in this instance, it's bus 1 and 2. I haven't used any buses. In fact, let's go ahead. Let's see, how do I do that? If I right-click, no, right-click, it's not letting me do it. Sometimes my right-click doesn't actually work. All right, forget about it. All right, so bus 1 and 2 is going to my drum sub. So I'm going to come over to my aux input track and I'm going to change that to bus 1 and 2. Actually, before I do that, or I'll just mute this, I hear no drums. I see some drum action. So now all of my drums before going to the master fader are coming through this aux input track. Okay, so for those of you who are like, man, he keeps harping on aux inputs for reverbs and whatnot, this is kind of a new use. Now, again, why would I want to do this? Well, this gives me control over the overall drum set, the whole drum, all the drums. It gives me individual control over volumes. And it allows me to do some group processing when the time comes. So for example, and I'm not going to get into it too far, if I put an EQ on my snare drum and I do a low cut filter and I maybe boost a little, 250, 260, get a little bit of high end, cut a little mud, what have you. On the whole drum kit, I can put on an EQ that says, I just want to have a bit of brightness across the whole drum kit. I want to compress the drum kit, although we'll talk about that because I tend to choose to do parallel compression. But you can process the whole drum kit because it's going through an aux input track. So the beauty of this, or the practicality of it, is it gives you the individual control that a VCA gives you of a group. It gives you the overall volume control that groups and VCAs give you. But this time, because an aux input does pass audio, you can also process the group as a whole. So you cannot do that with a VCA. There is no output. There are no inserts. You simply have kind of a one fader control over your group as opposed to coming over and using a group. Now, anticipated question, why would you ever use a group and not use a VCA? I'm not totally sure. Maybe the VCA is better. It certainly adds a level of flexibility. There you go. Number 3.